You're all ready to build that awesome, incredible website. The ideas are flowing and we're ready to jump right on in. All you want to do is get started. But more often than not, we leave out the more important aspects of planning and just jump in. Then we realize we're running into a lot of issues that we could have straightened out if we had just planned. In order to create a website, we need to understand some logistics and then plan the layout of our development. Before you choose a means of communication and design process, you need to specify the problem that you're trying to solve. Define your target audience, have a look at what competitors have done in this area, and set overall project requirements. In our case, we're developing a website. So our first thing is to decide what type of website are we developing? What category does our site fall into? There are 8 categories out there, and our site may take 3 or 4 different aspects, different categories into that one site. But it's good to know that ahead of time so as you're planning, you can develop properly. So we have informational websites, brochure catalog websites, e-commerce websites, which is your basic store and checkout system, blogs, which are absolutely awesome for interactivity on your site. It gives the user something to come back for because information is constantly changing. Personal websites, social media networking websites, photo sharing websites, which are great for photographers who are trying to show off their imagery and gain clientele. And then lastly is our responsive design mobile friendly websites. While this is a category, as technology has been increasingly and evolving, we notice that users are going onto websites through mobile devices more often than not. So throughout your entire development process, you need to keep that in mind. Our sites should be mobile friendly with a responsive design. Because this is a basic course, we won't delve into responsive design here, but I just want to put that out there that it's very important for your Google rankings, for your user experience, and just so you can stay abreast of the times. The people who will be visiting and interacting with your website provide important context to the design process. By understanding them, their motivations, their goals, their habits, their expectations, you can create a successful design. The design community is constantly coming up with new methods and techniques for understanding users. Put yourself in the shoes of the website visitor and ask yourself, what am I looking for? If I'm thinking about buying a product, what do I need to know before I buy? If I'm signing up for a service, where would I learn about the different offerings and which level of service I need? What is the clearest title possible for this page? And how many steps does it take to get to the next page? Regardless of the approach, this process usually ends in generating a profile of the audience, also known as personas. These profiles are important because they help everyone on the team have the same understanding of the target audience. Besides seeking to understand users independently of the website, you may want to see how the audience responds to the design. Conducting a usability test can be a very massive project depending on your client's needs. To cover that more in depth, if you go to your notes, you'll notice that I provided some links for further research. Okay, we've selected the category of site we'll develop, researched our target audience, and now we need to do some research as to what our competitors have done in the past with their sites. Why do we even care what the competition has done? Because we can learn a lot from our competition. They can teach us about the features that you'd love to have. I'm not saying go out and mirror the competition, but there's nothing wrong with knowing what you like and what works. Go out there and scope out competitors' sites. What tools are they using that customers are loving? How can you make these features happen on your site? Competitor sites can teach you also what not to put on a website. Everyone has critics, including your competition. Pay attention to what those critics are saying about their site. It's hard to maneuver. There's information missing. They were expecting something to happen at a given point that didn't. Learn from their mistakes and do the opposite. Additionally, these sites can teach you about what's missing. When you go to build your own site, it's hard to dream up all the possibilities your site can have without being able to see the big picture of all the moving parts. But if you go around your competition sites, you can see what's there, what should have been there, and how it works. Further, they can teach you the importance of keeping your site up to date. There's nothing worse than going to an outdated site with old information. And lastly, they can teach you the importance of letting go. If you look at your site and you realize my site is just not cutting it, I've been holding it on my own, but I'm just not making it the way I want to make it. Either it can teach you to go ahead and spruce up your skills, or to go ahead and find a contractor to help you out. Our next step is to explore the project requirements. Do your research, know what the client wants, and know what you can deliver and when. Ensure you have all this outlined in a contract that protects you and the client's best interests. No matter how close you may be to the client or how short the job may be, always have a contract in place with signatures to guarantee both parties are on the same page. A good way to survey the client's needs is to present them with a questionnaire, asking about their ideas and thoughts and who their competition is, colors, logo, layout, deadlines, what websites or graphic work inspired them. This will also give you a better understanding of the client and find out how engaged they are in the project as well. Once you move to development, offer your client sketches, wireframes, mock-ups, and prototypes of the website. As you work through each component, you'll find that it helps you in the development and design and saves you endless time and allows the client to have feedback in this whole entire process. Because see, this is their vision. You're just bringing it to life. Let them share in the experience. We know what kind of site we're building. We've researched our competitors and our target audience, and we're ready to lay down some ideas of our proposed design. How do we do this? Let's talk about sketches, wireframes, mock-ups, and prototypes. Let's start with Sketch. Sketching has advantages. It's portable, approachable, creative, and time-tested. There's nothing simpler than paper and pencil. Some clients tend to find the work informal enough that they can suggest changes and make edits. Sometimes when you show them the wireframes or the mock-ups, they think that the job is finished and they are a little hesitant about giving input. So if you let them start out with you on the sketches, you'll find that you'll have a better trip all around and it saves you a lot of time. Now let's talk about wireframes. A wireframe is a low fidelity representation of a design. It should clearly show the main groups of content, the structure of information, a description, and basic visualization of the user interface. Wireframes are not just meaningless sets of gray boxes, though they may look exactly like that. Consider them as the backbone of your design, and remember that wireframes should contain a representation of every important piece of the final product. Following your chart, let's move down to mock-ups. A mock-up is a middle to high fidelity static design representation. Very often a mock-up is a visual design draft or even the actual visual design. A well-created mock-up represents the structure of information, visualizes the content, and demonstrates the basic functionalities in a static way. Move over to prototype. It's often confused with a wireframe, but it's a middle to high fidelity representation of the final product, which simulates user experience. So this is interactive. It should allow the user to experience content and interact with the interface. Test the main interactions in a way similar to the final product. Because there's so much confusion between wireframes and prototypes, I thought it'd be kind of handy to let you know when is a good time to use either one. So let's start with wireframes. Wireframes are typically used as the documentation of the project. Since they are static and a fixed interaction with an interface at a specific point in time, they should be accompanied with some notes or even a technical documentation. However, they might be also used in a less formal way. Since they are quick and simple in form, they will serve well as clear sketches for intercommunication with your team. If developers ask how something should be done, the answer can be provided as a rapidly created wireframe. So when should we use a prototype? Prototypes are used to their full potential in user testing, such as a simulation of the final interactive material to check the usability of the interface before final development. A prototype is the most engaging form of design documentation as the interface is tangible and straightforward. Beware that prototyping is rather an expensive and time-consuming form of design communication. So my suggestion is to create prototypes that can be used in your final development.